In the end, life is much clearer when viewed through a single window. F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's truly remarkable. Most people, even big fans, they've probably never heard that quote.
Right. It's definitely not one of the famous ones.
No, it's not from Gatsby's Green Light or, The Eyes of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg.
Yeah.
But hidden in there, it feels like, well, like a really profound philosophy. Something that could genuinely change how you think about focus, about choice, about, well, real clarity in life. Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the fascinating sources and ideas you're exploring and really unpack them, looking for those big insights.
Tailored just for you.
Exactly. And today, for you, we're diving into this amazing crossroads, literature, philosophy, even the science of consciousness. Because that single window, quote, honestly, it's been stuck in my head for months.
It has that effect, doesn't it?
It really does. I just couldn't shake this feeling that Fitzgerald, maybe without even fully realizing it, hit on something fundamental about how our minds actually work.
Yeah, it's interesting because usually with Fitzgerald, you think Gatsby, right? Chasing everything, the American dream.
Infinite possibility. That whole thing.
Right. But this quote points somewhere completely different. It suggests clarity doesn't come from seeing everything. It comes from choosing one perspective and, well, seeing deeply.
So that's what we're going to unpack today, using the materials you've shared. First up, we'll tackle what we're calling the paradox of infinite windows, basically modern life.
And why having endless choices can actually make us less happy.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll connect Fitzgerald's idea to some pretty cutting-edge neuroscience. And there's even this cool analogy from quantum physics we need to explore.
Showing how the brain actually loves that single-pointed focus.
Then we'll loop back to Gatsby itself. There's a hidden lesson in how the story is told, I think.
Oh, definitely.
And the structure.
And we'll see how this connects to ancient ideas like Zen Buddhism and this surprisingly freeing idea of, well, limiting yourself intentionally.
The art of limitation, yeah. And finally, because what good are insights if you can't use them, we'll get really practical. How do you actually practice this single window living day to day?
What's so fascinating right off the bat is how Fitzgerald, this literary figure, seemed to nail something that modern psychology and even physics are now backing up with hard data.
It's more than just a nice line, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a sharp insight into how we experience the world. And it just gets more relevant. Like every single year, the core issue, like you said, is just the sheer number of choices we face.
It really is overwhelming. I sometimes feel like I'm walking down this, hall of infinite windows. I bet you feel it too.
Constantly.
Just look at your phone. How many apps? 50. More.
Easily. Each one pulling you in a different direction.
Right. Each one's a different window. Instagram's got the highlights. LinkedIn has the careers. TikTok. News apps flooding you with global stuff.
And that's just the digital side.
Exactly. Then you pile on career options. Who to date, where to live, what to buy, books, shows, diets, exercise. We have more windows into possible lives than anyone ever. Which sounds great, right?
It sounds like freedom, but it often doesn't feel like it. And that feeling isn't just in our heads. There's actual research on this choice overload.
The JAM study. Is that part of it?
That's the classic example, Barry Schwartz's study. When shoppers saw 24 kinds of jam, only about 3% actually bought any. Just too much to process.
Wow, only 3%.
Yeah. But when they cut it down to just 6 varieties, suddenly 30% bought jam. 10 times more. The huge number of options just paralyzed people.
That's incredible. So it's not just about buying things, though. Does having all these choices affect how happy we are with what we do choose?
Absolutely. Sheena Iyengar over at Columbia University found exactly that. The more options people have, the less satisfied they tend to be with their final choice.
So here's the big question then. We've got all this unprecedented freedom, all these options. Yeah. Why does it often lead to feeling more stuck, more anxious, maybe less satisfied?
That's the paradox Fitzgerald's quote taps into, doesn't it? Maybe too many windows don't free us. Maybe they just drain our mental energy, leaving us overwhelmed instead of empowered.
Okay, so if our brains are struggling in this hall of infinite windows, what does the science actually say about how we prefer to focus? What's happening upstairs?
Well, the neuroscience is pretty clear on this. Your brain can really only truly focus on one thing at a time. Seriously. What we call multitasking. It's not really doing multiple things at once.
It's just switching back and forth really fast.
Exactly. Rapid task switching. And every single switch costs you. It takes mental energy. Earl Miller, a neuroscientist at MIT, did research showing this pretty starkly.
What did you find?
He found that trying to focus on multiple things at once can actually drop your effective IQ by about 10 points on average.
10 points. That's significant.
It is.
Mhm.
To put it in perspective, that's roughly the same cognitive hit you'd get from pulling an all-nighter, staying awake all night.
Wow. So just trying to check email while I'm on a video call is basically like skipping a night's sleep, cognitively speaking.
In terms of the immediate impact on your focus and efficiency, yeah, it's a pretty heavy tax on the brain, constantly splitting your attention like that.
Okay, but what about the flip side? What happens when we do manage to focus deeply? When we commit to looking through that single window Fitzgerald mentioned?
Well, that's when things get really interesting neurologically. When your attention is genuinely locked onto one thing, one task, one thought, one experience, your brain's neural networks actually start to synchronize. They fire together more coherently.
Synchronize. What does that feel like?
Researchers see an increase in what are called gamma waves. And these gamma waves are strongly associated with moments of insight, that feeling of deep clarity, even those big aha moments. It's like your brain shifts into a higher gear of awareness and efficiency.
That sounds a lot like Csikszentmihalyi's work on flow states.
Precisely. It aligns perfectly. Csikszentmihalyi studied people at their peak, right? Athletes in the zone, artists lost in their work.
Yeah, when time just disappears.
Exactly. And what he found is that these states of peak performance and often profound happiness happen when attention is completely absorbed in just one thing. Self-consciousness drops away. You're just fully immersed, fully present in the doing.
Okay, and this is where, for me, there's this almost poetic connection. It links up with that analogy from quantum physics you mentioned earlier.
Right, the idea of observation collapsing possibility.
Yeah. In quantum mechanics, before you measure a particle, it kind of exists in all possible states at once, right? Like a cloud of potential.
A superposition of states, yeah.
But the moment you observe it, the moment you measure it, choose what to focus on, that cloud collapses into one single, definite reality.
It's a fascinating parallel. If you think about it that way, Fitzgerald's single window is almost like the consciousness version of that quantum measurement.
How so?
Well, by choosing one perspective, one focus, one window to look through, you're not just narrowing your view. In a way, you're collapsing all those infinite potential experiences into the one you're actually having. You're making it real.
So the act of focusing creates the experience, in a sense.
In a very real sense, yes. Think about being totally lost in conversation with someone you love. The rest of the world just falls away, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Or when you're deep in creative work and hours just vanish. Or even just being fully present on a walk in nature, really seeing the trees, hearing the birds.
In those moments, the focus isn't limiting, it's enabling.
Exactly. The window isn't a wall. It's what makes clear vision possible. It allows a depth and richness that just scanning across endless options could never provide.
That's a powerful way to put it. The window makes vision possible. Okay, so let's bring this back to Fitzgerald himself and The Great Gatsby. If the novel seems to be all about infinite dreams, how does this single window idea fit in? Is there a hidden lesson there?
I absolutely think there is. It's subtle, but it's woven into the very fabric of the book. Yes, Gatsby is famous for exploring boundless ambition, the American dream. Gatsby's belief he can literally rewrite the past through sheer willpower. He's the ultimate guy looking through every window, trying to force reality into his perfect mold.
He wants it all. The past, the future, Daisy. Everything.
Exactly. But, and here's the genius part, I think. How does Fitzgerald tell this story of infinite desire? He uses the most constrained technique possible.
Through Nick Carraway. Just one narrator.
Just one narrator's perspective. Everything we see, everything we know about Gatsby, Daisy, the parties, the tragedy, it all comes through Nick's very specific, very limited window.
Nick isn't exactly objective, is he?
Not at all. That's the point. He's unreliable. He's biased. He misinterprets things, projects his own feelings onto events. He admits it himself at times.
So why is that constraint so powerful? Why not just tell us everything from everywhere?
Because that very limitation, that single window of Nick's flawed human perspective, is what gives the story its emotional punch, its unique kind of truth. Imagine an omniscient narrator telling Gatsby, showing every thought, every angle. It would be more comprehensive, sure.
But maybe less. Real. Less impactful.
Exactly. It would lose that raw, authentic feeling that comes from experiencing it through one person's deeply felt partial view. So in Gatsby, clarity doesn't come from seeing everything perfectly. It comes from seeing something this particular story, these particular people completely through one intense, focused lens.
That makes a lot of sense. It reminds me of Monet painting his water lilies.
How so?
Well, he didn't try to paint every garden everywhere. He just kept looking at his one pond, same subject, different light, different seasons. And by seeing that one thing so deeply, he somehow revealed something universal about beauty, about light, about perception itself.
That's a beautiful analogy. It applies to relationships too, doesn't it?
Totally. You could try to have superficial connections with hundreds of people. But real love, deep understanding, that seems to come from choosing to give one person your complete attention, to really see them through the window of their own unique experience.
And this idea of depth over breadth, it's not just a Western literary thing, is it? Eastern philosophy has been exploring this for centuries.
Right, just using different words. Like in Zen Buddhism, they talk about single-pointed concentration.
Zazen, yeah. Focusing the mind entirely on one thing, your breath, maybe, or a koan, or just the present moment.
And the goal isn't really to empty the mind, is it? It's more like filling it so completely with one thing that there's no room for distraction.
That's a good way to put it. It's about achieving clarity through unwavering focus. And you
Right.
see this reflected in other Eastern arts, too. Think about Japanese garden design.
Ah, okay. How does that connect?
Well, a master gardener doesn't try to cram every type of plant or feature into one space. Instead, they might meticulously design the perfect view from, say, one specific stone bench. They create a deliberate window that distills the essence of nature, revealing profound beauty through careful limitation.
Like framing the view.
Exactly. Or the tea ceremony. It's a simple act, making and serving tea, but it's performed with such complete mindful attention that it becomes a meditation on presence itself. One single focused action revealing deeper truths.
So if we bring this back to our crazy modern lives,
Yeah.
the big implication seems to be about making peace with limitation, which sounds hard.
It is hard because we're constantly fighting that fear of missing out. FOMO.
Oh, FOMO is relentless. Is there a better job, a better relationship, a better city? Did I choose the wrong thing? I'm looking through the wrong window right now.
It's exhausting, and this ties into some really interesting psychology around decision-making. Herbert Simon, a Nobel laureate, talked about maximizers versus satisficers.
Maximize and satisficers. Okay, what's the difference?
Maximizers are the people who have to find the absolute best possible option. They research endlessly, weigh every pro and con for every possibility. They need the perfect choice.
Sounds stressful.
It often is. Satisficers, on the other hand, they aim for good enough. They figure out their core needs, find an option that meets those needs well, and then they commit. They stop looking.
And who ends up happier? Please tell me it's the satisficers.
Overwhelmingly, yes. Simon's research and subsequent studies consistently show satisficers report higher levels of happiness and lower levels of regret and anxiety. Maximizers are often plagued by second-guessing, wondering if they could have done better.
So Fitzgerald's single window.
Yeah,
It's not about finding the one perfect window out of millions.
exactly. It's about the power that comes from choosing a window, any window that's good enough, and then committing to looking through it clearly, seeing what's actually there deeply.
The clarity comes from the commitment to looking, not necessarily from the objective perfection of the view.
Precisely. And think about how that reframes things. Your career, for example. Instead of constant searching for the dream job, what if you focused on mastering the skills, finding the depth in the job you have, looking deeply through that window?
Or relationships.
Yeah.
Instead, swiping endlessly, wondering if someone better is out there.
What if you committed to truly seeing the person you're with? Giving them that deep, single-window attention, uncovering layers you'd miss if you were always glancing around. The real connection comes from that chosen focus.
Okay, this is all making so much sense conceptually, but, the real challenge is putting it into practice. So let's get practical. How do we actually do this? How do we cultivate single-window living? Because it's clearly not a one-off choice.
No, it's definitely an ongoing practice, a daily commitment, really, to choosing depth over breadth. Where do you start? Maybe with a simple attention audit.
An audit. Okay, what does that involve?
Just for one day, try to consciously observe where your focus goes. How many different windows do you open? How often are you switching between tasks, apps, thoughts, worries? No judgment, just notice the pattern. Notice the fragmentation.
That sounds potentially alarming.
Yeah.
But okay, step one is awareness. Then what?
Then, experiment with deliberate single tasking. Pick something simple. When you have a conversation, really be in that conversation. Put the phone away, make eye contact, listen fully.
Okay.
If you're working on a specific project report, close the email, close the extra browser tabs, turn off notifications. Just do that one thing for a set period. See how it feels.
Even with simple things, like eating.
Especially with simple things. Try eating a meal without the TV, without scrolling. Just focus on the food, the taste, the texture. It's about making conscious choices for depth over breadth in small moments.
So instead of trying to skim 50 books in a year,
Maybe choose 10 and read them twice. Or read them slowly, really absorb them. Same with social media. Instead of following thousands superficially.
follow fewer people, but actually engage. Read what they post, think about it.
Exactly. Depth over breadth. It applies everywhere. You mentioned relationships. Psychologist John Gottman has a great concept called turning toward.
Turning toward.
Yeah. When your partner or friend or child makes a bid for your attention, asks a question, shares a thought, you physically and mentally turn toward them. You give them your full focus, looking through the window of their experience in that moment. It builds connection.
That's powerful. What about for creative work? Does the single window apply there?
Absolutely. Embrace constraints. Sometimes the most creative breakthroughs happen when you limit your options.
Like writing a story in exactly 100 words.
Or composing a song using only 3 chords. The limitation forces you to dig deeper within that defined space rather than getting lost in infinite possibilities. It channels your focus.
Okay, and career-wise? Beyond just sticking with the job.
You could explore that Japanese concept of ikigai, finding that sweet spot, that intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for.
Finding your specific window of purpose, in a way.
Right. And then focus on mastering that intersection rather than constantly jumping between different potential windows. And one last thing. Try cultivating what Zen practitioners call beginner's mind.
Beginner's mind, even for familiar things.
Especially for familiar things. Even if you've looked through the same window, your job, your relationship, your daily routine for years, try to approach it with fresh eyes, as if for the first time. What details have you been missing? What new perspectives emerge when you shed the assumptions and really look?
That's a great challenge. So as you're listening to this, maybe think about it. What's one area in your life right now, your career, relationships, health, creativity, where maybe, just maybe, applying the single window focus could make the biggest difference? Where could you choose depth over breadth? You know, when you really think about it, in this age we live in infinite choice, constant pings, endless feeds, Fitzgerald's idea of a single window. It feels almost radical.
It really does. It goes against the grain of more is always better.
But the power in it isn't really about limitation, is it? It's about the freedom that focus gives you.
Exactly. Freedom from the sheer exhaustion of trying to process everything. Freedom from that constant gnawing anxiety of missing out, of maybe having chosen wrong.
It lets you discover what actually becomes possible when you stop scanning the horizon for the next thing and just commit to deeply seeing, deeply experiencing what's right here, right now through the window you've chosen. So until our next deep dive, here's something to mull over. Perhaps it's not the breadth of your vision, but the depth of your presence that truly reveals the shape of life. The universe is vast, yes, but you can only truly see it one moment, one window at a time.